So CTV is transforming the ad experience for brands and viewers because historically we only saw 30-second or 60-second video ads. Now within those video ads, there's all sorts of different capabilities like interactivity, where you have the ability to shop. So for example, with Roku, we have multiple partnerships with Walmart and Best Buy ads, other retail media networks, where now you can even add a product to your cart and then check out either through your mobile app or through a website. So that's just one example. I think pause ads have been common within CTV for several years now, but one of the things that we're doing with Roku to truly innovate is utilizing our home screen to bring very specific messages to our customers. So while those ads have historically been for our media and entertainment partners, now we can even bring restaurant brands into the fold, CPG brands that want to sell their products on the home screen.
Just to dive into that a bit more, the home screen is become, it seems like, kind of the de facto TV directory, TV guide essentially for viewers. How do you see the home screen evolving as this kind of discoverability portal, and what does that mean for advertisers?
Yeah, so what's unique about Roku being the #1 operating system is we actually reach 125 million homes on a daily basis, which is Super Bowl size reach. And so within our home screen, with it being the biggest screen in the home, we have the ability to bring really unique messages to that consumer. So previously it was just static images. Now we've brought in animation. We have a new ad unit that also introduces video. Those ads are also clickable to take people into a deeper experience. So for example, within the automotive vertical, we've introduced what we call showrooms, which have the ability to basically start the car design process on your television screen. And then ultimately, through the last video in the carousel, you could actually click OK to find a dealer in your area to actually complete that car buying process.
Jeff, interoperability has been a long time challenge for the industry. Wanted to get within that lens how Roku's approach to programmatic advertising has evolved, and how do you try to basically move and advance the idea of interoperability across platforms?
Yeah, so interoperability is super important to us. So previously, we were somewhat of a walled garden in the fact that we had our own DSP when we bought DataZoo's platform in 2019. We rebranded it to the OneView platform and utilized our Roku IDs as sort of the underpinning of that DSP. Since that point in time, we've not only shuttered OneView, but we now work with all the major DSPs. So the Trade Desk, DV360, and we recently announced a major partnership with Amazon, which is essentially combining our CTV footprint. So not only Roku's operating system, but the Fire operating system. So by combining those two data sets, we now have the ability to reach over 80% of the US CTV footprint through Amazon and Roku's operating systems, which is really powerful for marketers. And so we've heard from brands that working in the Trade Desk or working with other DSPs is really important. So being interoperable and not only making our inventory, but also our data available to those DSPs has been really important.
Jeff, wanted to switch gears a bit and get your take on the rise of self-service ad platforms. We've got Universal Ads, MNTN to Vibe, Paramount, Disney Ads Manager, on and on. What does this shift mean?
Yeah, so I think what the importance of self-service CTV advertising means is the ability to capture those D2C and growth brands and even small and medium-sized businesses that have historically ran on Facebook and TikTok, YouTube, and certainly Snap and others. Now we have the ability to provide, democratize essentially CTV. So if you're a local business owner and you want to advertise in a local market, you now have the ability to do that without having to go through a DSP or buy on a direct IO. I think where we're finding the most success with Roku Ads Manager is in that D2C and growth cohort. So we recently announced a partnership with AppsFlyer, which now allows us the ability to measure through their MMP how effective our ads are on Roku Ads Manager. So the ability to go after these D2C and growth brands that we see so frequently in our Instagram feeds, now you'll start seeing them on television screens.
One of the big stories of CTV the last few years has been the shift of sports from linear TV to streaming. And with the fragmentation of sports rights across multiple streaming apps, there's discoverability has become a challenge. How are consumers finding this content? It seems a lot harder than it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's become incredibly challenging. You look at the recent NBA rights now moving to NBC and to Amazon, and then of course with the incumbents with ESPN through Disney. It's on an app, it's on broadcast, it's on cable, and it's really difficult as a consumer to find out where the heck do I get to see my game, whether that's across the NBA, NFL, any of the major sports. So one of the fun things with Roku is being the operating system is we're now guiding consumers to help them find their games. So we now have sports zones that we introduced about a year and a half ago, and we see continued increased engagement, whether that's with the NFL zone, the NBA zone, the MLB zone, because it helps solve for that consumer challenge, which is I want to watch my favorite team or I want to watch a player on my fantasy team. Where the heck do I find my game? And so we've seen increased engagement for those sports zones. Additionally, we have extended that to other genres. So we have food zones and home zones that is aggregating the best content across linear as well as streaming, so that if a consumer wants to watch a home improvement show, they no longer have to seek out that app or find it through a virtual MVPD. They could just utilize the home zone that's provided by Roku.
So it's good to hear you're solving discoverability. What other consumer frustrations are you looking to tackle next?
Yeah, I think for us, the next phase is going to be making sure that we're serving the right ad to the right person at the right time. Through our first-party data and the targeting that we have off of the Roku device, we've always had the ability to do that. I think now by utilizing AI, we can make that ad that much more contextually relevant, so that when you're watching a program, that ad feels really natural to what you're actually watching at that given time.